When it comes to the tech world, you can always play the waiting game. Yes, if you're willing to wait another year, there will probably be a better iPhone, a better Apple Watch to come out at that time. But eventually, you just have to look at your financial situation, decide, yes, I can afford to buy one comfortably, and yes, the features I will get out of this product are good enough. And the short answer for today's video is simply that, guys, we're so close. We're halfway through July already. Can you just wait until September? Okay, then we can get a couple new Apple Watches and know exactly what we're working with. You'll thank me later. Let's begin. So, as we've noticed throughout the years, for some reason, Apple is able to keep Apple Watch leaks fairly minimal. It's kind of difficult to know exactly what's coming out unless, they upload an image to the website early. That one was a pretty big leak, but no one last year predicted the always-on display for the Series 5. I didn't see that brought up once in the leak community, and there was all kinds of leaks that ended up not coming true. Like, oh, sleep tracking, that's going to be the big feature this year. And that didn't end up really happening until watchOS 7. Now we have kinda sleep tracking, but it's really not that useful or that detailed compared to other sleep tracking apps out there. So honestly, because of how watchOS 7 treated sleep tracking, I don't even think that's gonna be a flagship feature this year. I think that what you should expect with the Series 6 is mainly just, once again, another S year, because none of the leaks we're hearing so far are talking about fundamental redesigns, some type of big aesthetic change. So I really do expect that for the third year, we will get another Apple Watch that looks near identical to this. The biggest rumors we have going for the Apple Watch Series 6 is that a larger battery life is going to be rocked in it finally, which if you were waiting for an Apple Watch upgrade on battery life, maybe this is the year, because the best evidence we have going for this is that watchOS 7 has completely removed Force Touch. You can't even use it if you want to anymore. Everything has been replaced with just a long hold. And at first it may sound like that's a bad thing, but after using watchOS 7 for a while, I can honestly say the redesigns of having buttons instead of Force Touch actually save you time, so it's not any slower than before. In fact, there's a lot of things that are now faster thanks to there not being Force Touch. So it may sound horrible at first because you're like, no, I use Force Touch all the time, but if you start using watchOS 7, you'll get what I mean. And it makes no sense to me that if they're removing Force Touch from the software, they wouldn't want to remove the Force Touch sensitive layer in the next generation Apple Watch. So if they are removing that layer, similar to the removal of the 3D Touch layer in the iPhone 11 series, we should get a fairly big boost in battery life. I don't know exactly how big a boost we're talking here, but essentially the battery life of Apple Watches has remained unchanged since the original. Every single year it's just like, yeah, it lasts 18 hours or whatever. It'll be fine. Don't even think about it. So finally this year, getting an Apple Watch upgrade that could easily last us 2 to 3 or maybe 4 or 5 days for people who just don't like charging it that often, and it would be super convenient for the new sleep tracking features they launched in watchOS 7, because that bedtime routine and everything where you have to wear the watch to bed and all that makes it kind of awkward to find a time in the day where you can take your watch off and charge it, and then when it's done charging, pick it up, put it back on, and wear it all night while you're sleeping. It's kind of a difficult balance, and if Apple was able to boost the battery life of the Apple Watch, then it would be much easier to wear that thing to bed overnight for several nights in a row. That's another big hope I have with the Series 6, is that we could actually get some updates to the silicon that's inside, because the differences between the Series 4 chip and the Series 5 chip were dang near identical. There are very, very minor changes between the Series 4 and 5. The biggest change internally, I think, being the addition of a compass and the LTPO display panel in the Series 5, which basically means that it can run at a super low refresh rate. That's how it's able to assure an always-on display, where the Series 4 cannot do it. Other than that, though, the chips are dang near identical, so if this year we were able to not get, huge performance gains, because I don't think there's a ton of you guys buying, Final Cut and hoping to run it on your watch someday. No, what the Apple Watch needs is improvements to power efficiency of the silicon. So if you're able to rock a new CPU in this thing that can really, really run on low amounts of power, and at the same time you're able to increase the physical size of the battery pack inside the watch, I won't say it's likely, but I would say it's kind of possible that they could start pushing like a week-long battery life in this thing. If they really want to emphasize batteries, the selling point for the Series 6, I think a lot of people who haven't upgraded or are thinking about getting an Apple Watch could upgrade this year. Again, there's not a whole lot of leaks or rumors to suggest that's what's going on. It's just my theory, because because the CPU and graphics performance of the Apple Watch is fine. I don't think anyone's complaining about that. So if Apple's gonna do, you know, an S year like they did last year, and this year is supposed to not really be that big when it comes to redesigns, updating the internal components to be really, really power efficient, I think would be immensely helpful and allow Apple to, again, get away with having the same design for the third year in a row. The other big help that could come from the S6 chip being more power efficient is the Apple Watch SE, which is completely made up on my end, but I totally think it's happening. So again, there's not many leaks to suggest this, but because Apple has removed Force Touch in watchOS 7, it makes no sense for Apple to continue manufacturing the Apple Watch Series 3 into 2020 and to 2021, given it came out in 2017. So it's getting kind of old, and it's the oldest Apple Watch to support watchOS 7. So I think it would be kind of bad for Apple to, you know, discontinue support for the Apple Watch Series 3 next year if they were selling them right now and into 2021. So they have to do something with that entry-level watch, and I know for a fact Apple loves that entry price. They love the fact that they can say the Apple Watch starts at $200, and they love taking people to the Series 3 page to be like, hey, it's cheap, it's affordable, it gets the job done, but you should really get, you know, the Series 5 because that's the cooler looking one. And in this case, I think it makes sense for Apple to kind of do what they did with the Apple Watch Series 1. That's the whole reason the Series 1 is a thing, is because it basically had updated internals from the original first generation Apple Watch, but the external design was basically the same. So essentially they want to do the updated internal treatment that the iPhone SE just got, but with a more traditional dated Apple Watch design, because they already have the assembly lines for it, they already have the design language set up for it. So that means entry-level watch has some big fat bezels, but if they gave it the S6 chip, it could gain some features like fall detection, which has saved many people's lives, and being able to sell that in a $200 device, I think would be a huge selling point, because Apple's main focus with the watch is always about health and prioritizing safety and that kind of thing. So if you could bring fall detection to a more affordable watch, I could see it being very, very popular. And no, it doesn't have the best display. Obviously, the Series 6 will have the thinner bezels, curved corners, and basically look better in almost every metric. But like I talked about with those power efficiencies of the S6 chip, if they were able to sport that in the Apple Watch SE, that could result in better battery life as well. And of course, the SE would not have the Force Touch layer because it'll be shipping with watchOS 7, which means more room inside the watch and can prioritize battery life. So that could be great if Apple comes at this with the angle of, okay, the Series 6 also gets some good battery life improvements, possibly some other health features like checking blood oxygen levels or glucose levels for diabetics, or something that has to do with blood, because that's essentially all Apple can do with health features now. And then with the Apple Watch SE, you can also push that the battery life is better, and it has that very happy $200 starting price Apple is so proud of. And probably the biggest difference between the two would just be aesthetics. You get a bigger display with the Series 6, and all the basics are covered with the SE. As far as I'm aware, that's pretty much the biggest changes Apple can do with the next generation Apple Watches. If Apple has something else up their sleeves, I can't wait to see what it is, because yeah, leaks and rumors for the next gen Apple Watch are very, very quiet, very minor, but just like last year, they're often able to surprise us with things, and we go, oh, I didn't even think you were working that, so cool. Let me know what you guys are most looking forward to in a next generation Apple Watch by hitting me up on Twitter, join my Discord, except don't tell me you want a circular one. We've been over this, it's not happening. Or don't tell me you want a camera. My God, let's not go down that street again. I've made those videos too many times. This is your Apple Sheep here. I'll see you in the next one.